Howdy, y'all. This is everyone's favorite Texan, Hank Hill, Assistant Manager of Strickland Propane and Propane Accessories. I just wanted to stop by and thank you all for listening to the best god-dang baseball show out there. Back to the bullpen with Doc and Dick, I tell you what. So sit back and enjoy with an Alamo beer in hand. And remember to check out Strickland Propane. It's really a gas.
Oh, beautiful, far heroes proved in liberating strife.
What's going down, y'all? Welcome to a somewhat special edition of the Back to the Bullpen show with Dick Bromley, the setup man. I'm Doc Brown, the closer. You can kind of tell with the special, intro coming in, not our usual intro. This is a somewhat special edition of the show, considering the week it's coming out. Not really going to touch on that too much. I'm assuming you can guess what it is. If you can't, please get out from underneath a rock. So let's get right into it here. What's going down, Dick? Baseball to you, my man.
Yep. Been out of town, out of state the last 2 weekends in a row, so haven't quite been brushed up on the most current events that's going on. There are a couple things in the headlines that, you're not going to miss baseball-wise, which we'll touch even if you haven't been able to watch any games.
Yeah, I mean, I told you I broke my toe, right?
Yep. So this is the first time somebody on the Back to the Bullpen show will be designated for the DL. So we'll see.
It's not the DL anymore because that's disabled is offensive. It's an offensive term.
Well, would you currently consider yourself physically disabled?
Yes. My toe's in two pieces, detached from my foot. So
okay. So
yes, I would say I'm disabled right now currently. Yes.
Well, there we have it, folks. The disabled list.
Well, I guess for me, man, I do the word of the week every week. I guess really this week, and this is just kind of a feeling had building up over the last couple weeks. My word of the week is disappointment. Now, I'm not gonna soapbox. The last episode, anybody, returning from that, there were kind of some bigger issues going on than just, cracking jokes about sabermetrics and other shit like that. So, we're definitely gonna talk a lot more baseball today, especially with disappointment. So I'm assuming you heard that Major League Baseball is basically killing the short season rookie and a lot of A-ball teams, and so they're killing a whole bunch of minor league teams. You're aware of this, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that personally? I mean, do you care? Like, are you a big minor league guy? Because I'm a huge minor league guy. I definitely want to do a special episode when I can go into a lot of the history and stuff like that eventually. But so I'm pissed. So how do you feel about that, man?
Well, I'll agree with you. I'm pissed. But to answer your question is, am I a big minor league guy? Now, do I watch hundreds of minor league games a year and everything like that? No. I don't think most people aren't. But what I will say is that even the people that don't consider themselves minor league fans, what are you saying? Looking at baseball, look at all your favorite players. how many of these guys may not have ever had the chance to get drafted because they were a top prospect, how many guys had to go from JUCO as a walk-on and all that stuff to make it to the big leagues? And if we're shortening and getting rid of, like you said, small A-ball teams and short season teams and development leagues, there's suddenly a bunch of spots on rosters and stuff that are going to be non-existent. So who are you going to hang on to? Are you going to hang on to the guys that no one's ever heard of? Or are you going to want to hang on to the people that your scouts told you were going to be the next so-and-so? So we're potentially seeing dozens, if not hundreds, well, I'm sure hundreds of potential big leaguers that will never get the chance just based on situation. And there's hundreds of players in the big leagues today that would probably not be in the big leagues if it wasn't for the way that the minor leagues were. So it's just something to think about when you look at your favorite player on your major league roster that you like. Take a look and see where they're from, and you might be surprised as to how they got there, because this isn't the NBA where you know who the first round draft pick is going to be when he's a sophomore in high school.
Right.
So,
Yep, that's a very good point.
I would highly suggest anyone go take a visit to spring training and go around the different facilities. Go take a look at how many players are there for how many different teams. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. A guy I played with in high school, man, he was in Angels camp a few times. I think like 3 years in a row, and he ended up, I think, retiring at a double A. So I mean, there's a lot of guys that don't even make it. And I get what you're saying about, limited opportunities. I mean, my issue is what they're planning to do is they're just planning to streamline it. So you're still going to have a semblance of A ball, and obviously not. Well, they could. I don't even know the finalized. You don't know how many people they're going to have there. You don't know how many roster spots. But what they're going to do is they're going to have like streamlined camps, basically. And I would assume I think they're under direct control from the MLB team. Like, they're not independent clubs anymore. I mean, they weren't really before they were tied in, but my issue really is, I mean, of course, there'll be some late guys like you're talking about that could potentially get missed. My issue is really a philosophical issue per se. Like, I'm mad that they're getting rid of the Pioneer League, because now there's all those people who live in Montana, Idaho. I think maybe another team is like in I think they're getting rid of the Orm Owls. I think that's in Utah. So that whole part of the country, they don't have any teams, right? There's no baseball teams up there, to my knowledge. Is there Montana Cowboys? Do they play in the AL West?
No, I don't think they're gonna give a consolation prize to the fans of the rural Northwest and tell them, hey, we took all your minor league teams, so we're gonna grant you a Laramie, Wyoming Cattle Bandits.
Right. That's what I'm saying, man. And that to me is really the issue. I mean, I'm as I said, man, I'm a minor league guy, and I've gotten into this argument a lot with people the past, I guess, really since, the Hammers fixing to really come down on the deal, right? They're really getting close to axing these teams at this point. It's not just conjecture anymore, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's about to be reality. And you know how they do it in Europe, right? With association football. Like, do you know how the systems are there?
Yeah, like a team can like move up if they're good enough type deal. That's what I know of. Or you say,
well, yeah, they do
players.
have they do have promotion and relegation, which I think is cool. I mean, but to have that, you have to have the kind of system that they have for players in place. So they don't do a draft in association football, right? So you have like 5 different leagues of teams, like some are super garbage, others are, Manchester fucking United, you know what I'm saying? So you have a large range of quality of teams. So what happens is, like, let's say I'm from, you know, Bristol or something like that, and I'm really good when I'm a kid, like 10, 12, 11, like a younger kid. So what they'll do is they'll have me come and play for their like club team, right? And so then I'm getting, and that's not even saying like, I mean, the big teams have club teams like this too. I'm just using this as an example. I'm from a little, not a little town, but like a smaller place. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so they'll train me up, and then I am like kicking shit out of the D League. You know what I'm saying? I'm like moshing those dudes. I have all these goals. So what's gonna happen is one of the big boys is gonna come, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, how much money do you guys want for this guy right here? How much do you want for him?" And then the team will be like, "Yeah, 10 billion rubles or pounds, whatever." You know what I'm saying? Whatever the
Yeah.
currency is, man. 10 million dinars, like what? Because it happens all around the world. And so then I go to the big boy team, and then what the big boy team does is they negotiate their contract with me. Now, that's how baseball used to be. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yep.
how baseball used to be. Up until, I mean, it was Branch Rickey. He's the one that started tying teams in. Now, I said Branch Rickey's obviously um, a visionary per se. I mean, he did try to sign Silvio Garcia, and then Silvio Garcia said he was gonna kill white people, and then like he settled on Jackie Robinson, who's a great player, and Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. Branch Rickey's a smart dude, a real smart dude, but I think that his vision for basically affiliating minor league clubs, like really, especially once teams went west, it absolutely murdered small town baseball. Like, I'm not Walmart guy. I'm mom and pop guy. So as I said, I get into these arguments with all these people, and they're like, well, hey, that's not fair. Like I hear that bullshit all the time. Because then all the teams with all the money are getting all the guys anyways, and I'm like, okay, well, pump your brakes. Like, we could go through a list. We're not gonna do the Pee Wee Herman music right now because there I have something else for that here in a few minutes. But man, like how many teams really who have been like expansion teams? How many of those teams are really consistently good?
Consistently good?
Yes, have been consistently good. Like teams like you have your original teams, right? You have your NY Hilltoppers, Yankees. You have your Giants. You have your Cardinals, their old NL team, your Pirates, who have sucked recently. But I'm just saying, as compared to like teams like the Marlins, the Rangers, the Astros, the Royals, um, how many of those teams are consistently good? Like, and I got in this argument with people, this guy, really, well, two guys, and they were like,
Oh, the
yeah,
Marlins and the Diamondbacks won World Series.
right, right, and I'm like, dude, those were. I mean, think about that Diamondbacks team, man. They had fucking juiced out Luis Gonzalez and fucking Matt Williams and the Steve Finley. They had all these roids dudes. Like they still went 7 games with the fucking Yankees, and they had Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling fucking pitch out of their minds, and then they won. And what have they done since then?
They've won a couple division titles and been to a couple wild card games in the span of 20 plus years.
Yeah, so the Yankees sucked for like I think a little bit in the 70s, and then they won those with Reggie Jackson, and then they weren't very good in the 80s. And then they're basically a dynasty for 15 years. And that was after. So I'm saying, man, there's a difference. Like the Astros won one championship. They had a good team in the early 2000s. They had a good team kind of. Well, they had a good team in the mid 80s. Like I think it's 86 with Mike Scott and Nolan Ryan. Like that was a good team. And then they had some interesting pieces before that, but like they've never been good. Like the Texas Rangers is basically the same thing. Like they had a lot of pieces in the 90s. Like the dude, they had like Rafael Palmeiro, Ruben Sierra, Juan Gonzalez. Like they were fucking stacked, dude. They were stacked. Like Kevin Brown, by the way, he's like probably the best pitcher of the 90s. Like he's up there. Like, do you even know anything about Kevin Brown, Dick?
Not a lot.
Yeah, see, that's why. Well, he was a steroid guy, which we've already said on this show. We don't give a shit. But yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They don't have sustained success. The teams that are good are always good because that's how it is and that's how it's going to be. Do you get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I think switching to a system like more towards association football, man, like that would revitalize, I think, baseball as a game. Um, so I know, I was talking to like there's a big difference. There's a big difference between how it used to be before affiliation and now. Like I know, as I said, when I argue with this about people, it's like they don't give a shit that small towns don't get their own team, like in their own stars, and I get that, you know it's 2020 and people have fucking phones and I could just get on the internet and get it right now, but it's like, man, shit like that is important, in my opinion. I could be coming way out of left field, but um it's bad, man. So, and I haven't really talked before, and I'm gonna go into a big thing on this eventually. But you know what I like about the minors, Dick?
What's that?
Well, the small town hero thing. I think that's important. But like back in the day, especially with like the PCL and the Texas League and shit like that, like I think they had like a lot cooler logos, like and uniforms and like I get that the Giants like are the San Francisco Giants, but I think like San Francisco Seals is so much cooler than Giants. Like I mean, I guess they were the Giants because of the big buildings in New York. So then they come over to San Francisco, and like I mean, I like the Seals, like the Oakland Oaks, um, the Fort Worth Cats. Like there's a lot of really cool minor league stuff out there. Um, but so to another point about minors, this is kind of my minors rant this week. So about the PCL, right?
Yep.
How they used to be, and I've probably drilled this into your head so many times you don't want to hear it again. No one else has, so I'm gonna fucking talk about it. So yeah, man, they were a really stacked minor league, right? Um, and because back in the day nobody wanted to go out to California and go scout anybody because it's too far. It was way too far. Like the whole part of everybody lived on the East Coast, in the 1920s and 30s. Um, and so they were trying to be a major league. And I'm just doing the reading like, you know, there were guys that were out there who were fucking studs and put up good numbers in very limited time in the majors. Like I told you about Buzz Arlett, right?
Yep.
Like that dude's monster. So he had one good season in the bigs. Like, and I'm not gonna fucking break down the minor league guys here. I do want to make a point though. Like, you never know what kind of talent, as you said, you will be able to find, like extract. And cutting away teams, as you said, is giving opportunities. So like my PCL thing that I'm talking about, how they used to be independent and used to have to go out there and buy them. So I have a list, man. Um, I pulled I pulled a list of guys out um, who played in the PCL. I have well, they're all MLB All Stars basically, and my thing is that you know if you don't have leagues like this, man, like and I said this is a little different, but it's like you might be missing somebody.
Yeah.
And if this minor league didn't exist back then all these guys probably would have never played in the majors. You know what I'm saying? And that can be said about a lot of different towns that used to have minor league teams and all that. So I got a list of 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. So can you name any of the Hall of Famers and MLB All Stars? There would be 13 total with seven Hall of Famers. Can you name any of them that started out in that league?
In the Pacific Coast League?
Yeah, so it's all going to be pre-affiliation. So
Nah,
basically 1940. You can't name any.
I can't. And I mean, there may be some, that I know, but there's no way for me to connect them to the PCL.
Well, I mean, you you can't name any of them. You don't think? You don't think you can get? You don't know who's from California, basically.
Oh God. Um, what years?
So this is all going to be between 1920 and 1940. So 20-year period. Well, except for one guy who I'll just bring him up at the end because he's an underappreciated player. So these are all guys who are all stars, and then 7 out of the 12 are in the Hall of Fame. And then we'll be.
Now, honestly, dude, I'm trying to think of California-born players off the top of my head from that time.
I'll
California.
give you. I mean anybody. I mean, it's okay. We got the music in the background. It doesn't cut you off for your couple. I mean, nobody. You can't name anybody from California ever.
Not.
Oh my-
Man, I could name some more modern day California guys.
Mark McGuire,
Yeah, Jim Edmonds.
Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, they all did play in the California League too, but after it was affiliated. Well, I'll just. Have you ever heard of Ted Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where he got his start. What about Joe DiMaggio,
Yeah.
Bobby Dorr,
Mm-hmm.
Ernie Lombardi? You don't know Ernie Lombardi? He's like this big fat. He was like Mike Piazza before Mike Piazza was even sperm. Big fat Italian guy. Drop dick.
What a
Lefty
beast.
Gomez,
Yeah.
Paul and Lloyd Warner, they're Pirate. Earl Averill, he's a center. I think he's an outfielder for the Indians. And then, of course, this guy. I eventually want to do a whole thing on this guy, but Lefty O'Doyle too.
Uh-huh.
Andy Pafko, who is I think he won a ring with the Braves in the '50s with Hank Aaron and all that thing.
All the
And then Jackie
scrubs.
Jensen. Yeah, Jackie Jensen, who's a multiple-time All-Star. Have you ever watched Home Run Derby? The one thing's on YouTube. It's like from the '60s, and it's like Home Run Derby, and they pitches like Mickey Mantle.
Oh,
Ever
yeah,
watched it?
yeah.
Yeah, Jackie Jensen. Jackie Jensen's in a couple episodes. He was a real good player. And then Frank Demery, who's like a multiple-time star. Oh, and then of course, Gabby Kravitz. You know who that is?
No.
Yeah, he was like the home run dude right before Babe Ruth.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like the first big time guy to come out of the PCO.
How many home runs did he finish with?
Man, like 180 something, I think. He had a lot. It was a lot for back then, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and he was like a little sawed off guy, so I could just assume he fucking yoked for the time, Like a little, like a little sawed off guy, like not like real little, but like.
Not like Jose Altuve little.
No, like stout. Like he looked like he could drop dick. So, but yeah. So, anyways, don't kill the miners. I'm not into that. That's fucked up. You're gonna cut people's. You're gonna hurt businesses in small towns. You're gonna potentially cut out guys that'll go noticed. As to your point, Dick. So don't fucking do it. It's already done. It's, as I said, it's disappointing. Hence, disappointment for the word of the week.
And man, really, independent baseball is already done for. You know what I mean? There are some truly independent minor league teams and stuff, but that was killed and buried long ago.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. As I said, they want to streamline everything. Major League Baseball does, and it's it's at the expense of the people, like the people in the small towns who go to shit like that. So as I said, no more baseball, Montana and Idaho, Wyoming. No, it's bye bye. So you can drive your ass to Seattle or Denver if you want to go to a game in person now.
Yeah,
So
Coors.
Coors, I've been there.
I sadly have not.
It's a nice stadium,
I've
man.
driven by
It's
it a
really,
few times.
yeah, it's a nice stadium. It's I saw Nolan Arenado hit a homer there. I got on slow mo. Um, so I've been doing some thinking about the 60 games.
Yeah.
Do you watch any college baseball at all?
Man, I haven't watched college baseball in probably in years. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years.
Did you ever go to Rosenblatt when it was there for the College World Series?
No.
I went, man. I went. I think two or three times. In one year, like we scout tickets. Florida was there, and I think Florida had Matt Laporta, who's you want to talk about MLB bus. You can look up Matt Laporta. Um, yeah, and they were like these redneck, like trailer dudes from Jacksonville. That was my first experience with people from Jacksonville. And they're like, yeah, we can scout for tickets, like the like fat dudes with like choppy, not fancy mullets, like choppy, like trailer mullets. You know what I'm talking
Man,
about? Like,
yeah.
yeah, so we went to a lot of games, man. And I guess so. You've never been, you don't know the atmosphere. It's cool, man. It's cool. I understand they built a new Rosenblatt, which sucks, but I at least got to go to the old one. But so I was thinking about college baseball. So every year, basically, like how it works. Like you got your conference, right? And then you play your conference and some out of conferences, and then you have like a regional, and then you go on to the College World Series, like Super Regional, and then College World Series, and it's like a 60. I don't know how many teams. How many teams are in the tournament, right? But then you get down to your last couple, and then there you go. So I'm noticing that this year with the MLB, man, to me it really feels like a college baseball season because it's so much shorter, and I guess college baseball doesn't get enough pubs, so people don't really try and make that comparison. But like every year I went to the College World Series, and this is just all personal experience, there was always some team that didn't look like they fucking belong there. Like a UC Irvine, like Tulane, like some they're like, why is this team here?
Yeah, with like
And
the LSUs and the Vanderbilts.
Miami's right, and like all North Carolina, like all the dudes that should be there. And I really think that this season with Major League Baseball, it's going to be the same thing come playoff time, which is why towards the end here, I'm getting a little excited. We've, covered that I'm not really excited very much about the baseball season because it's just kind of meh. If you're a stat guy, like a traditional counting numbers, Goose Gossage, fucking, traditional stat guy, like this sucks because you're not getting your counting stat, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, now that we're getting closer, man, to the end of the season, you really need to watch and see who's getting hot, basically, who's playing really well. And I know we couldn't get that recorded for the other episode, but I know you will agree with me when I say I've been on the White Sox a while now.
Yep.
Basically since before the restart happened. They're really hot. Crazily enough, man, like the Phillies have been really hot. So I think there's gonna be it's gonna I mean I can't say it's gonna be a fluke because everybody's playing with the same rule. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not
Yeah.
everybody got the same rules.
Yep. And
I really, what were you saying?
back to what you were saying about, let's look at what team is getting hot. It's kind of the similar thing that what happens every year with March Madness. teams going 32-5 and all that stuff. But once the conference tournaments roll around and, the last 3 or 4 games of conference play, everyone's saying, look for that team that's on the hot streak, because all they have to do is, hit shots, be hot for, 4 or 5 games, and before you know it, you're in the Final Four. A team loses here, a team loses there. That's all it takes.
Yeah, man. And I mean, baseball is such a streaky game as is. You'd think that people who might be slumping usually towards the end of the year, man, now all of a sudden, the game clock wise, they're like when they're at their best. Some people notoriously start slow, other people pretty consistent throughout the year, other people start really hot and then they finish shitty, and then come playoff time, they're still trying to get out of their funk.
Right.
So I think you're gonna end up catching people on an upswing that's gonna last throughout the playoffs, and it's not gonna be like, I'm telling you, man. I can almost guarantee it. There won't be a 1 seed in the World Series. I can guarantee that.
You don't think the Dodgers are going to the World Series?
No, nope. Dodgers are not going to the World Series. It's not going to happen.
How's it going to be watching it on, how are you going to engage on TV with no fans in the crowds? How is it going to be watching with no atmosphere?
I mean, is that serious? Is that a serious? How are you going to watch without fans?
Well, I'm just saying, is it going to feel the same, Can you feel the energy through the TV?
Bro, it's fucking baseball. None of that shit matters, man. That crowd shit. You think fucking people who are fucking cold-blooded, you think they really even hear the crowd? Honestly, do you really think? I mean,
No.
I come from, I can't, I'm not Uncle Rico. I can't throw the football over the mountain, but I'm just saying, man, people who are studs, I saw that shit out. It doesn't affect them. If anything, when people start yelling, it pumps them up more. But I mean, they have that fake crowd noise for that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, in terms of if the players, it's not going to be an issue, I don't think. For the viewers, if you're worried about the crowd and shit pumping you up, you probably need to go watch football or something else, like hockey, dude. I mean, you want to see people hit each other going real fast, it does. So no, it doesn't affect me. Why does it affect you? Did I just shit all over your parade, basically?
No, but there is a nostalgia, of
Oh yeah.
growing up and watching, when you're a kid. Oh, you watch the playoff atmosphere because it is a little different. But then again, so are teams that are. It's different when a team's a game away from their season ending. So, it is what it is. It should still be exciting. I mean, the exact same thing is still on the line. So.
Yeah, man. I think if anything, it'll be good to hear the players. I mean, it's going to be all cut up, but I mean, there's going to be some people who are very expressive who you didn't realize were so, and you kind of get a little bit of that now, but
The fuck after every strikeout.
Yeah. I mean, popping out with 2 guys on and 2 outs to the shortstop is going to be a little more. It's going to have a little more weight to it than in the middle of the regular season. So I'm interested for the reactions, because it's going to surprise some people. It won't surprise people who really watch baseball and play it, but for the people who are just watching, it's going to be a surprise for them. It'll be humorous.
I can't wait for the articles to be written.
Oh, about the players cussing?
Right.
That's not going to happen. They're not going to do that.
You'll be surprised.
Okay, so just one more thing about the getting rid of minor league teams before we change the topic totally. Chattanooga Lookouts. Do you know about the Chattanooga Lookouts?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're like a Reds minor league team, bunch of their minor league teams. So they're on the chopping block, and they were founded in 1885.
Wow.
Put that out there. So, what is it? What is it? What do they say we do now? It's a throwaway culture. we're all material girls living in a material world, throwaway culture. So, so enough of that. So disappointment. It's can't really dance around this topic, dude. Because of the week, because of what week it is. It was 9/11. Um, we're not going to go into our personal 9/11 stories. I mean, we were younger, obviously, so don't other than see it on TV. My thing is that disappointed. The whole situation just makes me feel bad, really bad. Well, I guess Donald Trump says sad.
Very, very sad.
Huge.
So,
Bigly sad.
and it's not anger. I guess a lot of people are angry. They still harbor. And I've been to the Middle East, man. I don't really hold resentment for anybody. Any group. Like I get it. I guess I'm just really more disappointed that we live in a world where stuff like that actually happens, where people can go get all psyched up to go, basically kill people for no reason, and then, you're basically taking kids and brainwashing them, and then fucking, then they kill a bunch of people, and then a bunch of other people get killed after that, and then, here we are 19 years later this week, and it's not. So, as I said, I'm not going to get too much into it, but just know that it's disappointing to live in a world where things like that actually happen, and to me, it's even more disappointing that things like that happen, and then people use the fear of that and then weaponize it against certain groups of people. I don't think that's cool. It's disappointing. I don't know if you have anything on this topic.
The inability to learn from things is what is astounding. You know what I mean? There's clear cut and dry reasons why certain things happen and have happened and will happen, but with no change in, I guess you could say, direction or
Oh,
procedure.
procedure. There you go. That's the word.
No change in procedure. You know, I mean, that's really all you have to say.
Yeah, and don't think we're not disparaging anybody who lost their lives. None of the 2,606 people who died. Disparaging anybody. But that being said, I'm not. I'm. I'm counting everyone who died. That's all the people who have died since. And I'm not just talking about Americans. There's no such thing as a one-sided war, unfortunately. That's what Saving Private Ryan leads you to believe. But there's two sides to every coin, man. So the fallout, uh, devastation, I guess per se, that has since preceded those events on both sides is incredibly disappointing. And I guess we can just kind of wrap that topic up neatly with a bow and leave it there. I think.
With a nice little Mike Piazza home run on top.
Yeah, yeah, and a George Bush first pitch. So I think we can bat that one down. Um, so yeah, disappointment as well. So I grew up in the DFW area. To the Rangers games. Saw a lot of teams. This would be in the early 2000s. Early 2000s. Um, Man, like they're fucking terrible. I don't know. And you look at the players that they've had in the past. I was telling. Let me pull this up. Let me pull up this. So this is 1990, right?
Yeah.
They were. They were. Three. And this is just what I'm saying. So Rafael Palmeiro, like he's a pretty good player, right? Ruben Sierra, Harold Baines, Gary Pettis, like Julio Franco, Juan Gonzalez was a rookie, like Kevin Brown, Kenny Rogers, Bobby Witt, still had old ass Nolan Ryan, like Jeff Russell. So, oh, and they had Jamie Moyer, and it's just like, and that team sucked. Like that team sucked. If you know anything about the Rangers, they had all those guys, and they sucked. And then in the '90s, they added, like Pudge to that, like a couple years later, and
Yep.
they still sucked. And I guess the argument was always pitching, but I'm looking at this pitching in 1990, and I guess they just chose the wrong guys because Kevin Brown and Kenny Rogers were two very good starters. Like we were talking about Kevin Brown earlier, like he's one of the best fucking starters of the 90s, man. And I guess it just seems like bad decisions. And with the Rangers, they just always have bad ones. Like they let go of the wrong guys. Like their player development isn't any good. Like I remember when A-Rod was there, like, and you looked at the team on paper and you're like, damn, this team should be good, but then they fucking blow. And you have roided up fucking A-Rod smacking out like 59 homers a year. His OPS is like 10 billion. Like fucking ascended. He's like super roid saying Alex Rodriguez with the long hair, DBZ reference. But yeah, dude, he's a fucking monster. And the team was still garbage. And then you had Life like after that, with the one pitch away. And then Cruz pops hot for steroids, and you let him go, and he's only hit like 500 home runs since then. Basically like 500.
And then you let your real superstar. I mean, you let him go, but I mean, I get that he didn't have the same outcome as Nelson Cruz when he left. But
talk about Josh Hamilton. Yeah, Josh Hamilton, man, pure talent. I'd say he's probably a top 50 guy, all time, pure talent. Talking about his skills, because baseball is a game of craftsmen. Don't ever let anybody tell you any different. And his craft in the batter's box, the ability to hit for average and power, he's probably a top 10, or not top 10, that's a reach, but a top 50 guy, all skill wise. But anyways. So my thing is like, man, like I really think John Daniels has to go. I don't even know what they do though, because their minors suck. It's just it's disappointing. It's disappointing to grow up there, and then like there's no fans in all the games because they suck ass, and there's like more fans from other teams than there.
Yeah, and it's not like they're in a small market,
No.
either.
I'm telling you what, when they were good though, those couple years they were good. The ballpark in Arlington was popping. There were always people there. It was, but I guess Dallas is kind of a fair weather fan city. It's not like St. Louis. People are hardcore about the Cowboys, but that's like a blind.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you got the Cowboys at the number one.
It's like
show
those it's like the children of God people that they told them like, yeah, the aliens are going to come and get you. And they were like, oh, they're going to come. And then they all fucking killed themselves. So just buy into bullshit and follow it blindly. That's Cowboys fans. I know we're crossing into other sports, but that's Cowboys fans. Obsessive blindness to their own destruction.
And the thing that pisses me off is the Rangers could be such a cool franchise.
How so?
I don't know. Dallas, Texas, the Rangers. I loved the ballpark in Arlington. It was such a unique ballpark. They have a big enough market that they can go and get guys. There's no reason they shouldn't be. They're in Texas. Texas is such a big market. Let alone just the Dallas Fort Worth area. They should be. They should be contenders year in and year out. It's not like
fucked up getting rid of Darvish.
Right.
Well, I'm asking, do you think they fucked up getting rid of Darvish?
I mean, he's pitching good this year. I mean, who's to say? That's, I guess, a loaded question. It's like, do you want to pay him a lot? Yeah, he kind of was rough when he was at Los Angeles.
LA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
L.A.
he
and then
was
his first year at Chicago. But I mean that's kind of baseball, though. You have your ups and downs. He's clearly got good stuff, and he's pitching good this year.
he has the highest strikeout per nine of anybody ever, right? With I don't know the minimum inning pitch, but he's number one.
Still,
I mean, especially after this year. See, man, thing about you, Darvish. Have you ever seen him pitch in person?
not in person. I mean, he's nasty on
I
TV.
I have before he had the Tommy John or whatever a couple years ago, man, and I like sitting at like the top angle behind home plate, so you can
Yeah,
like look down, like kind of off the batter's shoulder, just either right-handed or left-handed batter, but above them. And boy, man, Darvish was coming like 96, 97, and then like 60 fucking 4 mile an hour change up, and then all these mid 90s like cutters and shit on their hand, like a real hard slider. And I was like, man, this dude's fucking filthy. And he has been filthy. A lot of people forget, man, like even when he's pitched like shit the past couple years, he's always striking people out. Like always. Always. Always can do. Now he might leave something over the plate and get yoked, which is obviously his problem because his fastball, I don't think his regular fastball has much movement on it. I think it's real flat. Like the difference between like a flat and like a heavy fastball from a batter. Like it's a big difference, man.
yeah,
So I could bet Darvish's fastball just looks like Garrett Cole has a real flat fastball
yeah, and he gets taken yard all the time.
on that fastball. Yeah, if he can't locate it, it doesn't matter how fast it is, but it's that's what I'm saying. It's flat. It's fucking flat. Um, but I mean he's filthy, man. And so, but that's what I'm saying. Like I get it's a loaded question, but it just seems like they make these poor decisions. Like they could have got all those guys from the Dodgers. They got fucking what's his name, Willie Calhoun, who I like, but it's like, bro, y'all could have tried to get Gavin Lux or fucking, I heard it was Jock Peterson initially, and I was like, God damn, we can get Jock Peterson in that little fucking ballpark, jacking Donners behind fucking or before Joey Gallo. Like, are you serious? Like, how fucking awesome would that be? Oh, and then they didn't get him. They got Willie Calhoun, who's like a so-so. I mean, he could be a good player. He's like a little sawed-off black dude. Like he can really hit the ball when he connects. But it's like, he could have got more. He could have got more value for that. So it just seems like he's a fucking idiot, man. Like, I guess they were better. I wonder if it really has to do with Nolan Ryan. Because when Nolan Ryan was there, it seemed like they were making the right decisions, and then Nolan Ryan parted with the organization, and now it's just like all the wrong. It's like snowballing, man. It's like getting worse.
What year did he leave?
Let me check. I think it was like after 2013.
Was his last
Yeah.
year?
Yeah, so Nolan Ryan's last year was 2013.
Yeah.
And I guess they've basically been they had that one good year, and then the Jose Bautista thing happened.
Yeah, man.
So,
They haven't won a playoff game since that. Well, I'm sorry, a playoff series since 2011.
yeah,
They've been back 3 times and they lost two. One of the times was a loss in the wild card game.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, man. Like they're like a pit. They're like a pit of despair. I don't understand why they're not. Like all the guys that have ran through there, like in their, like from the '90s, basically. And you could even go back a little further, like Toby Hara or Hurrah. I don't know how to. I wasn't alive then, so I don't know how to say his name. But on paper, he looked like he was a pretty good player. Low average, good power, like walked a little bit, solid fielder. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seemed like he was a good player. Like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand why they've always, they just always fail. They're like fail franchise. Them and the Mariners. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy all the flack that a couple teams will get, and then for what like a lot of people like to beat up on the Rockies, and a lot of people obviously are going to beat up on the Mariners, but it's you're never watching MLB Network and they're like ragging on the Rangers. You know what I mean? They're like a little foot.
right. And they should. The Rangers should get ragged on hard. They're like, they're kind of a joke, man, honestly. And I hate to say that. Like, it almost feels sacrilegious saying that all those times I've been in that stadium.
I mean, that's where I watched my first baseball game. I've been to 4 or 5 games at the ballpark in Arlington, which is one of my favorite ever. That's super biased. Not ever, but, of current
It's one of
time.
those neoclassic ballparks, man.
Yeah,
with
and
the
none of them.
overhang like that.
There was no mistaking another ballpark for it.
Yeah, now they just have like rip off fucking Enron Field now. You know about that, right? Their new stadium. It's like
Yeah.
the same company that built Enron. So, and I'm gonna call it Enron because the Astros cheated, and so did Enron. I think that's funny, Enron. Sticking with that. Yeah, it's the same company that built them, so it looks almost exactly the same. Ballpark in Arlington had a lot of character, man. The way the billboards were out there, you had the overhang in right field, the porch, the old school porch.
Yeah,
it was a very retro feeling stadium.
I love the overhanging right field. Like, that's a lot of times where we would watch our games when we would go.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there. Been there a bunch, man. Been there a lot of times, and as I said, so it feels sacrilegious saying it, but they're Rangers are a dog shit franchise, bro. For real. There's no other way. There's no other way to get around them. They're Mariners tier. They are. I mean, I guess like Padres tier. The Rockies really haven't been around long enough. I mean, honestly, same thing with the Devil Rays. Like, they've been around for that. But I mean, they're like, for real, like garbage tier franchise. Like, they've never won shit, and they've had all these fucking people roll through there, and they just can't fucking get it done.
And the crazy thing is, every single one of their real successful years has been in my lifetime. And there's still really no success to be found.
You're talking about the Rangers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
they've been
basically,
around
man,
since '61.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't too bad in the mid '90s when that was right before I moved to Texas when they lost to the Yankees, and I remember watching Rick Helling get shelled TV. Shout out North Dakota. Shout out Rick Helling. Yeah, but Rick Helling, yeah, he got fucking shelled. But then they never went back to the playoffs. And I mean, dude, like, they could have got Robinson Cano when they traded A-Rod.
Really?
Yeah, you know that story, right? Like, yeah, the Yankees were just gonna throw him in,
And
and
why?
it was like, yeah, what?
And why did it fall through?
It's not that it didn't fall through. The Rangers didn't want him. They got like Joaquin Arias or somebody like that because they're
Awesome.
idiots. They're dog shit franchise. Like, god damn. And I mean, like, other teams like the Tigers got rid of John Smoltz. Whoop. He's from Michigan too, right? Like, would have been perfect. Tiger, from Michigan. Got rid of him. So, I mean, everybody makes. The Red Sox got rid of Jeff Bagwell. Like, I mean, people make bad trades, but it's just like, fuck, man, the Rangers make a lot of them. Like, they make a lot of dumb decisions. Like, said, man, you let Kevin Brown walk. Like, I don't they're disappointing.
Well, the thing is, is the world isn't MLB The Show. There isn't this weird, like, large group of people in baseball and coaching that are looking to go do rebuilds for fun and the challenge. At the end of the day, people want to go work for successful franchises and they want to win rings. When you suck for decades, you ingrain a shitty culture and a losing culture, and that deters good candidates, and that deters good players from wanting to sign or get traded there, and it can become a problem.
So do you get rid of them? Do you get rid of the Rangers?
No, I don't, because I like them.
This might be an opportunity for some music here. Who would you get? Would you get rid of the Rays?
See, that's tough because The Rays are fun to root for in the postseason when they make it here and again.
But they
If
play in the dog shit stadium.
they
Their uniform is bland.
absolutely, they should have just stuck with the Devil Rays. It's the worst stadium in baseball.
It's a boring ass logo.
Yeah.
Like they have no fans. So
They
do you?
don't. Man,
Let's say you could move them to Montreal.
in a heartbeat.
Full time,
In a
and they'd
heartbeat.
be okay. Okay, that's what I think too. So what about the Marlins?
Well, Florida
You get rid of
needs
the Marlins.
a team. I feel like it. I know Florida fucking baseball is never worked with fan bases. There's never been like that. Florida baseball fan base has just never busted
Well,
through.
pause. The Marlins. I mean, have you gone through all the players that they've had? You want to talk about bad decisions?
I mean, they're loaded with guys.
I mean, like bad decisions. I will say 100% to the Marlins' defense that Jose Fernandez dying derailed their chance at being a legitimate contender.
No, they did because that was a good team. All those guys.
Mike Stanton, Yelich, you had D. Gordon, you had Jose Fernandez, you had
Ozuna.
like they were. You're right, Marcelo Ozuna, like that. That was a good ass team, man. Like, and they were just figuring out how to really just Stanton. Can't forget about Stanton. Or did I already say Stanton?
Yeah, we already covered Mike Stanton and his 60 bombs. 59.
Yeah. I mean, they had Justin Bohr too, like a fat left-handed guy. Just
Real
drops
Muto?
his head.
Dude is a stud.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's a good fucking team, bro. Like, that's a good team, and they were so. To be fair, the recent team that had potential was a tragedy, and that basically flamed the whole team from that point. But before that, man, that was the owner that tore those teams apart. Like the first one had Sheffield and like all those fucking guys, and they tore that one down. And then the other team, I mean, they had Miguel Cabrera and Derek Lee, and like they were stacked too. And then they ended up getting torn apart as well. So they're kind of a lot of their wounds were self-inflicted, and then they just took a kill shot like right to the balls, Fernandez. Now they're done. I personally, I'd move them. I'd get rid of them. I'd get rid of the Marlins.
I'm gonna have to give him a pass because in a realistic world, that such a big market like that needs a singular team. Now, would I in a fantasy world would I fucking strip the stadium and redo everything top to bottom? Yeah, I mean, for sure. But I want to keep a little realism and say, yeah, I'd keep him. But I have no problem with sending the Rays up north.
Montreal. So then how do you feel about new teams? Would you like, because they're talking about expand. I guess this is recent news, but did you see Justin Timberlake and Nashville and all that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so Justin Timberlake's putting like this group, JT, FY, if y'all have never listened to Justified, this is his first album, Post in Sync. I recommend it. Are you familiar with this work of art? It's like a purple label on it, I think. Black.
I reckon that I probably have heard some of the songs.
Yeah, well, next time you're with your lady, some JT. So, anyways, sorry, Justin Timberlake. Yeah, so he has a group, and they're gonna put like a stadium bid and a team bid in for a baseball team in Nashville. Which, honestly, I guess I'm okay with that, man. I think I'm okay with that. I think there needs to probably be a team like in Portland.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. It's like talking big metro areas.
You know about the
it.
Mavericks?
Oh yeah,
The Portland Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who their second baseman was?
No.
I'm talking about the ones that were independent.
Yeah. No, I actually am surprised this never got brought up in our last conversation about minor league baseball.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm kind of mentioning them now that I have the opportunity to plug it in there, Yeah, so Portland Mavericks. You don't know who their second baseman was?
Not off the top of my head.
Oh, dude, it was Kurt Russell. Come on, man.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Kurt Russell, man. I guess he had to quit because his arm was all fucked up, and then his dad was like, "Yeah, go do Hollywood, Kurt." So,
Then he went and got in
well, he
Tombstone.
was a child. Kurt Russell was a child actor. He's a child prodigy. But
Ah,
I bet you didn't know that.
I didn't.
Don't ask me what show he was on because I wasn't alive then, so I don't know. But yeah, Kurt Russell was their second baseman. Um, so yeah, Portland needs a new team. I guess you could do Nashville. I mean, that'd be cool, man. But back to my point, but back to the minor thing, like it's all kind of tied in together now at this point because the Rangers are, a team like the parity thing doesn't exist in baseball, which is, disappointing. Hey, word of the week. Because a lot of the teams that aren't out of the original teams are suck, and they've always sucked. So we're gonna get two more teams, and maybe 5 years after they put it together, they can get real lucky like the Marlins, and then have Levon Hernandez get fucking balls 10 feet off the plate, get called strikes, and then you make it to the World Series and you win. Like maybe that's what happens.
Yeah.
But more likely than not, they're gonna fucking suck. You know about Levon Hernandez, right? In that game.
What game?
Oh man, I think it was the NLDS, like Game 6 or Game 7, and it was it was against the Braves. It was the year, um, it was the year they won the World Series the first time. So I guess it's '96, and Levon Hernandez started, and he was getting like, are you looking it up?
It says right here, worst called game in history.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, some of these expansion teams, they might get lucky and have pull Levon Hernandez, but more likely than not, they're gonna be dog shit, and they're always gonna be dog shit. And I don't, then I'll be disappointed by. I'm sure there'll be kids in the future who are disappointed by their Portland Mavericks team that had numerous Hall of Famers and guys come through them, and then they never won. So. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's pretty much all we got for that. So we'll take a short commercial break here, listen to some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Merle Haggard of Capitol Records, putting in a good word for a fine beer, Pearl Beer.
Hey friends, Doc Brown here for Pearl Beer. Are you a dumbass millennial who easily gets sucked into nostalgia? Do you find the superficial things, like a label, more important than what's in the bottle? Well, luckily, I've got a beer for you. Pearl! Brewed with the finest Texas ingredients, with a shitty Milwaukee recipe, this Pabst product tastes like pure Wisconsin piss water, flowing straight from the Wisconsin dells directly into your mouth. So next time you're craving a $10 six-pack with a $2 taste, reach for a Pearl.
And I do believe I'll have another Pearl.
And we're back. Big shout out to Pearl Beer. I spent a lot of money with them, so go on ahead and plug them. The product is as described. So I guess right about now, man, I guess we can get into some high and tight. Can get the music going, set the mood here. Did you procure any questions this week from fans or the like?
I've got a singular question. I'll probably save mine for later. It's a rather boring question, but someone still wanted to get our take on it. This is actually a request from one of the Dick Bromley Twitter followers. I haven't been active on the account lately because I've been working. We've been having some technical difficulties with the podcast, everything going on around sports. I've been out of the state, so took a little hiatus from the account, but I do interact with a couple followers that I've procured on there here and there. Our loyal followers, and one wrote in a question, so we'll definitely get to that one.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can start off, and as I said, if you're interested in any gear, you got any questions, comments, concerns, it's b2tbpshow@gmail.com, like the letter 2, b2tbpshow@gmail.com. As I said, reach out to us. First time plugging at this episode, you should know it by now. If you don't, it's b2tbpshow@gmail.com, like the letter 2. So we'll get going here. We're actually going to start off with a baseball question, surprisingly. This is from Trevor. I guess I'll put his name out there, Trevor Crump. I think he's obviously from the South. We talked about the spelling.
Man, Trevor has been a loyal listener.
Yes.
Looking at the data I have in front of me, he has a astoundingly high question rate. It's almost 200 to 300% higher than any other guest when it comes to writing in. So
yeah, any other listener, right? So yes. Well, of course, we can lead off here with some questions. So he asks, who will win the home run race this year? Can we shed some light on Jose Abreu outside of the Chicago market? Underappreciated player with his background. Yeah. So, I mean, do you want to start off with this one? Because I can save my point. If you want to go first?
Well, I mean, it'd be cool to see someone new, someone young, maybe get the home run title this year. I think it'd be great if Jose Abreu finished high up, but that's probably going to be Mike Trout, I feel like. Just because, why wouldn't it be?
That is a conservative choice, Dick.
Well,
I mean, honestly, let me get the. Do you have them? Do you have the home run leaders up?
I can get it up. Hold on.
Right now with 20 games. Honestly, man, probably. Looking at it now, my money's probably on Nelson Cruz.
I mean, he rakes. He absolutely rakes.
Or Trout. I mean, to the point about Jose Abreu being underappreciated, though, yes, like he is very underappreciated. I've been following him since he was in Cuba. He's on Cienfuegos, the Elefantes. Yasiel Puig came from that team too. So yeah, I've been on the Jose Abreu train a long. I boarded it way back in Havana, like that Camila Cabello song. So yeah, Jose Abreu fan. He's. What's crazy is that he's gonna put up, not quite Hall of Fame numbers, but numbers that are gonna be good enough to where he'd be like, man, if he didn't come over here when he was 28, he probably would have had a chance. So yes, Trevor, I agree 100%. Do you have anything to add to that, Dick?
Absolutely. I saw Jose Abreu play when I went to Chicago. Went to a White Sox game. Dude's a beast. I mean, take a look at his numbers. You're going to have a hard time finding someone in the league that's going to be that consistent with that kind of numbers. Like Paul Goldschmidt in Arizona kind of comes to mind. Just a quiet, big numbers kind of guy. Not going to be like, front page news every game. And he's probably not going to win the MVP, but, year after year.
Who's another guy like that?
Who?
Freddie Freeman.
That's true.
You know what all those guys have in common?
What?
They're all first basemen.
Underappreciated.
Yeah. Yep. Well, so yeah, Jose Abreu underappreciated. We're a toss-up between Nelson Cruz and Mike Trout.
I will add, with the way Tatis has been playing, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Like, a hot 2, 3, 4 game streak could push him over the edge. But Yeah, there we go. Naming the top 3 guys who are tied for first. So that's your answer.
Yeah, I'm not stretching it on that one.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna pretend that Ian Happ is just gonna soar to first place.
Right. I do like Matt Olson, and I do like Eugenio Suarez. That's a Tigers fuck up. But that, I don't know. It's gonna be one of the top 3 guys. Nothing crazy to be seen there. So I got another one here. Let's talk about steroids. Do you think they should be allowed in baseball and all non to low contact sports? I mean, you already know my answer. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, if everybody's doing it, if everybody has, I just want people to have the same set of rules. I don't even really care about contact sports having steroids. Like, how awesome would that be? Like,
Yeah.
UFC, which is fucking roided out. I mean, a lot of them are already roided out anyway. If you know anything about MMA, like, dudes pop hot and shit all the time for tests, but, yeah, dude, I don't care. Like,
But how awesome would that be if you just opened the floodgates?
yeah, I mean, that's right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you get some crazy super cyber athletes now, man. You get guys hitting like 900-foot home. Can you imagine Pete Alonso? Like, it's a hardcore fucking, like, Jew shit, man. He's jacking like 700-footers. Like, oh my God, look at this guy. See, that'd be awesome, though. You think people watch baseball then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, Bud Selig, he had that same question come to his mind too. It's like, wow, I got all these guys hit these 500-foot dingers. And we'll ride with this. So yeah, I'm pro steroids in all sports. I just want everybody to have the same rules. If the rule is to have them, then cool, have them. If the rule's not to have them, then there shouldn't be people circumventing the rule. I guess that's really my point. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. I think it's dumb. Let them have them. When the guys were getting popped in the early 2000s, they weren't even really illegal yet. There were loopholes with like doctor's notes and, I have it prescribed to me, so it wasn't a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, people had ways around it, but all those guys, all the roids guys that are in the Hall of Fame, they should all be in there because everybody was taking them. As I said, have them in or out. I'm for in. I'm just for them being in and being legal. If that makes sense.
I'm going to have to concur, my friend.
Well, I have another one here. This is really just a point, though. I guess he lives in Houston. Football is back. Bill O. Bryan is a disgrace. This isn't a question, just a fact. Well, that's good to put out there, I guess. I don't know how many people listen to this who are interested in football, but he is a disgrace. He's John Daniels level bad, if you're not familiar with him. John Daniels level bad.
Bill O'Brien, that's just a classy looking guy.
Is it? You know what it took me forever to realize that his name was like Bill O'Brien and not Bill O. Bryan. Like, that's what I used to think his name was. And I used to think the O was like for Orenthal, O.J. Simpson, Bill Orenthal Bryan.
That would be a pretty big flex, but
I guess I was wrong, but that's still what I call him to this day.
Give him the serial killer, the assassin, murderer treatment. Let him put the middle initial there on a regular basis.
Well, after this year, he's probably going to be on some kind of hit list or something. So I got another question. Yeah, Bill O'Brien sucks. That's a good point. Yeah, everybody needs to hear that. So what are your guys' thoughts on the Mormon Church?
Wow, this is perfect timing. I've spent the last 2 weekends in southern Utah visiting some of our nation's most fantastic arrays of land and natural wonders. So in my time in southern Utah, I've came across my fair share of, let's say, members of the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints. They're easy to spot. They usually consist of 2 adults and 9, 10, 12 adolescent children in which they have spawned. The prophet Joseph Smith was driven out of Missouri and then out of Illinois. Well, he was killed, and then all his followers went to Utah. So, if that really doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the Mormons, I mean, just look up the video, 50 Things Wrong with the Mormon Church on YouTube.
Well, you're probably not going to like my answer then. To be honest, the Mormon Church, I have experience with Mormons too.
Well, I'm not trying to rag on the Mormons either.
No, I know. Well, it's, you know what they name their kids, right? Like, you should look it up. My wife has showed me some stuff. Mormons name their kids. It's fucking insane. Like, I don't know how you would do that to another human being. But, anyways, to be honest, man, a lot of the Mormons that I knew, like, were real nice. Like, all about their family and.
Oh yeah.
And my thing is, I prescribe to my own religious theories, which I'm not going to get into on here, but like, if what someone believes, people can believe whatever they want to believe in. I mean, even if you're like a hardcore Christian person, you should be able to accept that fact that people, can believe, in whatever. People, free will, like, believe whatever you want to believe. But, I know like a buddy of mine, like his parents, like sent him to like Mormon concentration camp, like, cause he got caught smoking weed, in high school. So, and if you're not in the church, they totally ice you out most of the time of your family, which isn't cool. But for the whole families that I've seen, like, they've all been really nice. So I can't really bag. Now, polygamy, it's another issue, but it's kind of like a gray area, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I've never met any Mormon people that are like polygamists per se. The people of my life that follow the Mormon faith, they're just, like you said, really family-oriented, close-knit, super polite people, and that's basically it. I've never met any of them that are.
See, and I have to like choose my words carefully to make sure what I'm saying comes across not insane. But it's like, if people believe that and that's what they believe and it's consenting adults, like, I mean, whatever floats your boat.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who am I to judge you? Like, whatever. If everybody's down with it, and you don't have people like tied up in the basement, like fucking.
Right, as long as
you're not Gary Ridgway, fucking Green River Killer, you're not doing that. Like, you're not holding people against their will. Or like that guy in Cleveland that had all those women sex slaves. You hear that guy?
No.
Yeah, well, you can look it up. I'm not getting into it, but yeah, he had all these women sex slaves. Like, we're not talking about that with the polygamists. Like, that's not cool. But, I mean, if everybody's consenting, bro, like, who am I? It's whatever. So honestly, those are my thoughts on the Mormon Church. Do as to others as you would unto yourself. That's in this book called the Bible, I think. So, yeah, they're cool. No big deal. Just don't come to my door. Now that's the problem. Like, don't come to my door at 6 o'clock in the morning on a weekend and try and give me your book. Now, if I was like, in a long drive-through at McDonald's and they were like, hey, book off you, I'd be like, well, what else am I doing? I'm just sitting here like, hey, like, yeah, But Yeah, so yeah, Mormons are cool. I think they're cool with both of us. Just don't teach their own, man. That's the best answer. So this is another one that we've kind of tackled in the past. I'm glad this came up this week. So what is your favorite U.S. backed coup?
U.S. what? Backed coup?
Coup. Yeah. What's your favorite one? The list is very long, by the way. We can't get it. We don't have enough time to get into the whole list. You'd have to check out a history podcast for that. But
Which, maybe if things, work out, maybe someday we'll have a shitty history podcast.
yeah, well, it'd just be about stuff like this. You'd probably get on the Alex Jones show.
The globalists are coming for baseball. They're spreading their launch angle. And they're integrating this home run and no base stealing regime. It's fucking despicable. They're coming for you and your families in our national pastime.
It'd be cool. We might run with that a little while, honestly. Baseball Alex Jones.
Yep.
So yeah, your favorite U.S. backed coup.
Favorite U.S. back coup. This is one you should have prepared me for. I mean, you could look into like, say, just the Middle East, and you would have a plethora to choose from.
I saw the question in advance, so I could prep.
Yeah, what the fuck kind of bullshit is this?
Well, it's called high and tight. I'm high. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, you've had a broken fucking toe, and you're gonna give me you've been at home chilling, and you're gonna give me a history choice, and you're gonna be like, yeah, bro. I mean, I already know mine.
So if Randy Johnson throws one at your dome, are you gonna John Kruk and just stand there, or are you gonna have a legitimate answer? You can look. I'll go, and then you can use the hub.
Yeah, I'm doing some fucking surveying right now.
Okay. Well, mine is I like al dente not Cuba I like al dente in Chile. The transition to Augusto Pinochet, because al dente wanted to give people health care, and he was labeled a communist, and then they went and put a horrible brutal and he's like an underrated brutal dictator. Everybody knows about Gaddafi, everybody knows about Saddam Hussein,
and he said you've heard of his whole deal about throwing commies from helicopters, right?
Right, that's right, dude. And they said the Pinochet government tried to say that al dente shot himself, and they had he committed suicide, but the coroner was yeah, he had 19 shots in his head or something. I was like, oh well, yeah. So they executed him, and that was us. We gave them money to do that, by the way, because al dente was a socialist. And so yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Augusto Pinochet's an underrated. We should probably do that one day too. Maybe we could do a list of dictators all time. We could rank 10 dictators. But Pinochet's a top 10 one for sure. He's very underrated. He's the Jose Abreu. He's the Jose Abreu of fucking dictators, man.
We're gonna have to reach out to his representatives and let him know he's been bestowed that honor and that title has been bestowed upon him.
I think he's buried in a mountain somewhere, some mountain palace. Or no, that's the guy in Spain. Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't been in power in a while, but yeah, that's my favorite coup.
Well, for mine, I don't have a whole lot of detail to go into on it. Me and a friend of mine were actually discussing this 2 days ago, and I'm surprised it took me so long to remember that we were talking about it. But we were talking about, well, a lot of times the argument against socialism, one of the go-to ones in the last few years, 4 or 5 years, is, well, look at Venezuela. And that's, they're going to use that as a way to favor their argument one way or another. But the funny thing is, it's most likely all a result of how continuous covert U.S. involvement in Venezuelan government, small country, and just constantly fuck them over and over again, get involved with their diplomacy, things like that. So that's what makes it a top one for me, given the current events with Venezuela.
Well, the guy.
Go ahead.
Oh no, you can go. Well, I was just gonna say, man, like when I go to Cuba, like Hugo Chavez is a big deal there. I'm a firm believer in Bolivarian government. That's what their revolution was called in the time. It was not like a real revolution, but they called it Bolivarian, and there were like all these countries that switched to those progressive, more socialist, style of government. And they just ousted the one guy in Ecuador. I think it's Ecuador. He's like the first native person to ever be a president of a South American country. Like, isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I mean, they have a lot of indigenous people there. I think he was Ecuador, and I think they just forced him out for something. I don't remember what it was. Evo Morales was his name. You can look him up sometime. He's an interesting dude. But yeah, man, we railed Venezuela bad, and then they like basically paid off all their money to the IMF. Did you know that? The International Monetary Fund. Yeah, because their socialism was so bad. We had issues with Hugo Chavez because same reason why we had issues with Iran back in the day before we did that coup, which I'm surprised you didn't pick. Honestly, I'm surprised I didn't pick it, but I just.
Well, that's that's like the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, right. That's true. So just like Cuba, easy. It's very low-hanging. But yeah, so they nationalized their oil. That's why we did the thing in Iran. That's why we hate on Hugo Chavez here, because he wanted all his oil profits going to the country, so they could like build more schools and raise the literacy rate and pay off all their debt that they had. And so what happened is Hugo Chavez died, right?
Yep.
And he was basically going to be eternal president, which, I don't know, man, in a country with as much strife as Venezuela or Colombia or, a lot of places in South America, really because of drugs, number one, war on drugs, territorial wars and corrupt governments and, the whole 9 yards. But, yeah, like, as soon as he died, look what happened to Venezuela. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, as soon as he died, you immediately got like some guy under him who obviously just only cared about power, and it's like horrible. And then it's bad. We're not gonna get into the whole situation, but yeah, that's how did the U.S. do a coup, by the way, for that? I don't know that one.
Well,
which government was it? The one that Hugo Chavez took over, the first one, the first president in the late 90s or whatever. Was that what you're talking about?
I know the CIA was involved. I think what I was mainly speaking of was it may not necessarily be a coup, but we were fucking with all their shit, like when we shouldn't have been, and the Bush administration knew about it. It's a big, long fucking.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. Okay, cool.
But I picked it more because of kind of what I listed at the beginning.
All the details, all the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So I guess you have a question too?
Let's see. Alan from New Jersey writes in, how do you think Chipper Jones would do today if he replaced that bum Riley? And he's talking about Austin Riley on the on the Braves. He's hitting a
whopping 237 with 31 hits and a negative 0.4 WAR for all our sabermetric fans out there.
Wow. Wow. Well, go ahead.
I think Chipper Jones is going to rake. I don't really see a reason why he wouldn't. He's going to hit for power on both sides of the plate, and he's not going to try and do anything too fancy. Now, a lot of people will say his method is outdated, but he made it in the Hall. Wasn't that long ago. He's going to see pitches and he's going to hit them. I don't have any reason to see why he wouldn't make the Hall of Fame in today's game. I mean, how many elite switch hitters have there been?
Recently?
Right.
Lance Berkman.
Yeah. And he's not Hoff material.
What? What are you talking about?
You think Lance Berkman's Hoff material?
Bro, he's like fucking top 20 all time in OPS. Like, yes, dude,
With
yes.
Less than 2,000 hits?
Yes.
Well, there we have it. Disagreement. I think
Wow, you don't think so? You're fucking crazy. I bet you think Jim Edmonds should be in the Hall of Fame. You fucking Cardinal fan.
Hey, Lance Berkman was a Cardinal too.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not saying like he shouldn't be in. I'm just saying it's like not a slam dunk.
Oh, dude. Look. Hopefully I can. Hold up. I'm gonna prove a point right here. Not really prove a point. Okay. So I have the OPS all time. So yeah, just quick pulled up this OPS list here, man. So there are Lance Berkman in OPS is 25th all time. Everybody but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Six of those guys aren't in the Hall of Fame.
And who are they? Just curious.
Barry Bonds.
Okay, so that doesn't count. He should be in the Hall
Mike
of Fame.
Trout. Mike
Okay.
Trout.
2.
Manny Ramirez.
Okay.
Mark McGuire.
Okay.
Todd Helton.
You say there were
There's one more.
5 or 6,
And then there's one more.
which is
Who do you think it is?
other than Lance Berkman.
Yeah, Lance Berkman is it's this guy and Lance Berkman, and then those are the guys that aren't in the Hall. And all of those guys should be Hall of Famers, right? You just
Where's this guy on the list? Where is this guy on the list?
It's 22nd. Lance Berkman's 25th. But everybody else is a Hall of Famer. Except for, Bonds, McGuire.
I was gonna guess Albert Pujols, but I don't think his OPS is high enough.
No, you should know who this. I'm just gonna give it to you. It's Lefty O'Doul.
Oh, see?
It's 22nd. So somebody who should so everybody but Lance Berkman in the top 25 should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, is in the Hall of Fame. Or should be there. Right? Can you agree with that?
Yeah, I can absolutely agree with that.
Okay, well, so as I said, show Lance Berkman some love. He didn't get any love because he said that shit about the transgender bathrooms.
I forgot about that. Yeah, he shilling himself.
Shit, yep. Yeah, exactly. So what was the question again? Before we got off on the Lance Berkman thing.
How would Chipper Jones fare today?
Oh yeah.
Basically.
Oh yeah. Well yeah, he'd be all right. He'd be fine. They wouldn't like his WAR, but he'd be fine.
It's not always about the war.
You know what they say about WAR?
That it never changes.
Yeah, that's exactly what they. Exactly what they say. All right, well that's high and tight. As I said, you guys want to send in any questions, and any merch, whatever, it's B2TBP Show, B2TBP Show at gmail.com. As I said, you guys keep sending them in. We'll keep reading them. So this week, we like to end every week how we end every week. We like to throw on a little Kansas and pay homage to those who have left during the time of production, left this realm and gone on to the next one. Cue the music. And so we have some interesting ones this week. You know, a lot of baseball players, two of which I could just give you right off the bat that were really recent. Tom Seaver, you know, which has kind of a weird deal with the Mets. Like, I don't know if they actually really reconciled before he died, which is sad to me. More sad than he died. That I guess they had issues. But yeah, he's 75. Guess they call it COVID. Do you have any thoughts on Tom Seaver?
Do you think he's the greatest Met of all time?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. It's not even close. Do you think it's close?
No. And once you really look, it really isn't close.
Right. I have a, you know, and I guess you're probably going to want to say something here, but we have Lou Brock, who was 81 years old. I guess he had multiple myeloma. I'm sure you probably have more to say about that. That's a good run, though, 81.
Yeah. I mean, it goes without saying, you know, you're never going to see another guy like that. I mean, I would like to think you could, but guys like that they're not gonna come around anymore unless the game really, really changes. I mean, who's gonna steal 1,000 bags, you know? Who's gonna get 3,000 hits and steal 1,000 bags?
Awesome trade.
By the Cubs. Just one of those legendary names from the franchise that I love. So yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's sad, but it's just one of those guys that's going to leave behind a legacy, and kind of would have liked to hear a little more about both of them. It's figured you would hear more from the baseball world about it, but maybe I'm just looking in the wrong places. But yeah, that's about really all I have to add. Is guys like Lou Brock with the speed and the average should be appreciated a little more, considering that's probably gone forever.
Yeah, so RIP, good run, Lou Brock. Probably not going to see another guy like him for a while. Then I have Ken Boyer, 51, cancer, so not the best run there at 51. Joe Cronin of Red Sox fame. Are you aware of Joe Cronin?
Yeah, I'm wanting to say I might have a card somewhere.
Yeah, he's a good player. Prostate cancer, 77. Good run. Hall of Famer. Then I think this was last year, Mac Miller, 26.
Yep.
Drug overdose. Not a good run. I will tell you this, though. Nike's on My Feet. It was a nice sample. It was off his first mixtape. That's a good song. That's the only Mac Miller song.
That was off the Kids mixtape.
Oh, so you know. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Yes.
So all our listeners out there, don't fuck around with the fentanyl.
Yes.
The Fenty gonna
No.
get you.
That was in poor taste. So then I have then I have Richard Keel. So if I told you the name Richard Keel, what do you know who that is?
Is he a pro wrestler?
No, he's an actor. He's like 9 feet tall. If I said Jaws, what do you think of for not the shark? I mean, obviously, probably the shark. What do you think of second, though?
The shark in the bodysuit.
No, he was Jaws and James Bond. He had a heart attack. He was 74. You know, with the teeth, and he was just like a big fucking dude, and he'd bite shit with his teeth. Yeah, he was Moonraker. And then the one that I think he's the bad guy in the one in Louisiana. No, I think it's been a while. I need to watch some of the good Bonds again. Then I have John Brower Minnock. Do you know who that is?
Fuck no.
He's the world's fattest man at one point. He died of edema. He was 42, which I guess is an okay run for someone who's 1,000 pounds. I have more baseball. Albert Spalding, you know, the sporting goods guy, Albert Spalding. Yeah, he died. He was 66 from a stroke, but very influential to a lot of sports, man. Then I have Chairman Mao. You know Chairman Mao?
Chairman Mao?
Chairman Mao. You don't know who Chairman Mao is?
No.
You know Mao Zedong, the
Yes.
communist Chairman Mao, bro. Yeah, he was an 82 heart attack. Leader of 1 billion people. I'd say it's a good run. Richie Ashburn is on here as well. 70 from a heart attack. You know, the Phillies center fielder, little slap hitter, little fast white guy. Like good Brett Gardner. That's what I think of when I think of Richie Ashburn.
Brett Gardner, what a guy.
No, good. He's like Richie Ashburn's like good. Like if Brett Gardner was good, not a douchebag. Then I have Catfish Hunter. You know, the pitcher, Yankees, the A's. You know, 53 ALS.
Wow.
You didn't know that, did you?
No.
See, I didn't either. That was, you learned something new on this show.
How long ago was that?
I think it was in the 90s, the mid 90s.
Okay.
Then I have Pete Browning. Do you know anything interesting about Pete Browning? Do you know his claim to fame?
The gun guy?
No, it's a
That's
baseball
John
player.
Browning.
No.
Well, Pete Browning, do you know what he was? Do you know what his nickname was? Pete Browning was the Louisville Slugger.
Oh.
So, yeah, all those Louisville Slugger bats, that's basically, you're buying his model, more or less. So, yeah, he's 44. Huh?
What made him worthy of the bat? What made him the Louisville?
Oh, the Louisville Slugger? Because he was some dude in like the 1880s, 1890s, and he fucking, ripped the ball around for back then. So, he was a Louisville Slugger. And he died when he was 44. It just said numerous, so...
He died numerous ways.
Yeah, like it's like liver failure and like all sorts of. It was too many to list on this paper.
Well, they probably just classified it as Spanish flu because he had more than one pre-existing condition.
Yeah, right. And then I have the Man in Black, Johnny Cash, 73 from MSA. It's like multiple, some disorder.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was pretty young when Johnny Cash died, but he was still putting out those like shitty like cover songs on CMT when he was really old. And I always thought that I grew up in a Catholic family, so I always thought that he looked like Pope John Paul II.
I mean, he did, dude. I mean, he fucking you say that. And to be honest, Johnny Cash is fucking overrated.
Yeah.
So
That's why you won't hear him on our show.
I'm sorry, he's overrated. Sorry, Johnny. Then I have another baseball player you've probably never heard of, Spotswood Poles. You know who that is?
No.
You laugh, but they called him the Black Tie Cobb, number 1, and number 2, he's a war hero, and he's buried in Arlington National Cemetery. So, put some respect on that.
Like I was supposed to know that.
Well, I mean, as I said, you learn something new every day.
Right.
I got 3 more here. Well, 4 more, but 3 more here. We were just talking about this last week. R.I.P. to Johnny Unitas, Captain Flat Top himself. 69 years old, and it didn't list any causes.
Well, I feel like if you cap it off at age 69, you get nothing but a good run from us.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It depends on how good the 69 was.
That's right.
You know. So then I have Peter Tosh. Do you know who Peter Tosh is?
Daniel's younger brother.
No. Peter Tosh is a black reggae singer, you know. Wanted, Dread or Alive, Legalize It, you know, that's Peter Tosh. He's like not as good Bob Marley, basically. It was like Bob Marley, everybody's like, oh my god, Bob Marley, and then Peter Tosh too, you know.
So yeah, not as known enough for like the 16-year-old white girls who smoke weed in high school to listen to.
Yes, right.
But,
Exactly. Well, yeah, he's 42. He was executed in a home invasion. Which I don't... Yeah, so Peter Tosh, that was unfortunately not the best run. So then we have our porn star, Candida Royale. What do you think the cause of death was?
well, if her name, keep in mind these are most likely chosen names for a reason. And if her name was Royale, I'm gonna go ahead and say Royale with cheese. Maybe she was big, you know. Maybe she died of, heart failure.
Well, no. Ovarian cancer. She was 64 years old.
Such a piece of shit.
Well, that should just about wrap it up. You hear that Merle coming in. Got anything else to add for this episode, Dick? Or we're just gonna let Hag play us out?
Well,
Well, you took my love
I think
for granted.
Hag's gonna let us ride into the sunset with a Pearl beer in
But
hand.
seeing you with someone
Yes,
else
with
was
Pearl beer.
breaking
As I said, if you guys want that
point. I know
$10
I'm going
6-pack with a
crazy.
$2
I can
taste,
feel it
reach for a
coming
Pearl.
on.
So I guess, this is just about do it. I feel like I did pretty okay this week. I think you did serviceable as well. So until next time, fucking baseball.
Baseball.
Gone crazy, somewhere out of my mind. Well, there'll be laughter all around me when they come and take me away. And in case you see me leaving, well, you can bet I've gone to stay. I know you're gonna miss me when you find I've gone insane. But I got a right to lose my mind if I can't stand the pain. Gone crazy, I may be hard to find. Gone crazy, somewhere out of my mind. Could I be somewhere